Merry Christmas, everybody. Yes, I know Christmas was yesterday. That's not why I'm wearing black. There's plenty of holiday fun to be had. We've got New Year's coming up this week. But I am still in mourning. Mourning for all of those people who didn't make it to the holidays this year. People that we let into our lives, welcome into our homes, but they weren't family by blood, but family just the same. And when they left, they didn't leave us mere presents. They left us memories. I'm Victor, and straight out of the Gen Experience, those personalities, those celebrities, the stars we grew up with, who were often more present than some of our own family, but who sadly didn't make it to this Christmas. Although there is still time for more to go, I'm looking at you, Dick Van Dyke, we should give our final respects. Let's go. Oh, please note this is in no way a complete list, but a sampling of our dearly departed in no particular order. Well, mostly no particular order. I was younger than Theo, but the Huxtables were a big family, not half the size of mine, but I still found it relatable content, and the comedy hit home with familiar storylines and wholesome laughs. Theo was a big brother for millions of people. Malcolm Jamal Warner showed up everywhere in the 80s, and he was such a constant that his death by accidental drowning hit many Gen Xers with shock and sadness as a tragic accident when he was only 54. Lucky for most of us, we can look past the drama caused by Cosby himself and relive the comedy of a show many of us consider an old friend. Warner's participation will never be tarnished. I was probably only a couple years ago old when I found out that Gremlin's evil Miss Deagle, who got hers in the end, was none other than Flo from Alice. But there she was. Growing up, Alice, Vera, Mel, and especially Flo gave us hours of laughs, but Polly Holiday did more than waitress or try her hand at country singing. She went on to guest spot in some of our favorite 90s films. This year, Polly was seated at the Great Big Diner in the Sky at age of 88.
Do you eat beans?
Would you like to see a new movie starring George Wendt?
Do you eat beans with George Wendt?
Would you like to see George Wendt eating beans in a movie?
Do you eat beans at George Wendt movies?
Would you like to see George Wendt in a bean-eating movie?
How many beans do you eat at George Wendt bean-eating movie?
How many bean-eating movies have you seen with George Wendt?
I was young when Cheers began, but I watched it as it was a shared family experience. It was on. Others were watching it, so I sat there. I ultimately closed out the show with my adult friends when it took its final bow at the end of my Gen Experience, as millennials were coming into their own in 1993. He was there through it all, and even as a youngster, we could see the camaraderie between the characters at the bar while cementing life goals for friendships like that, and a place we could walk in and everyone knew our name. George Wendt and Norm will never be forgotten, as he died this year at age 76 and bellied up to the bar for eternity. How many of you, like me, stayed home sick from school, even when you weren't, and were left alone? All of us. Moms were utterly confident that some ginger ale or even squirt, some saltines, and the TV was all we needed to get better. Just as long as we didn't open the door for anyone, there was nothing to worry about. And there wasn't. With the number of game shows on and their hosts as our babysitters, we were all set. Who was more wholesome and trustworthy than our favorite masher, Richard Dawson? Or Bob and his beauties on The Price is Right? Or could it be Wink Martindale, the 70s host of Blackjack and Tic-Tac-Toe in the 80s, who kept us company? We got to know all these guys, but the last wink we got was in April this year, as it was Martindale when time ran out at his home in Rancho Mirage, California. Accomplished actor is an understatement. Celebrity, megastar, these are descriptors of the incredible Gene Hackman. He starred in various cinematic triumphs that cross generational divides, but for those of us growing up during the Gen experience, those influential young years, Hackman will always be and remembered as the definitive Lex Luthor of Superman. He was genuinely diabolical, simultaneously sinister and comical. At 95 years old and suffering from Alzheimer's, his death and that of his wife a week earlier in their house is more tragic than any movie plot. Hackman was an actor when acting was important, when good stories made movies great, and when movies were more than they have become. We should honor his legacy and hope for peace in their passing earlier this year. It's not always longevity that makes someone memorable. I thoroughly enjoyed What's Happening, but frankly, didn't always understand what was happening. Like Sanford & Son and Good Times, it wasn't only my age that had me missing some of the context, but the issues and storylines were difficult for me to connect with. However, Danielle Spencer was D, and I recognized that smart-ass sassy teen sister in so many girls at school. She frustrated the hell out of me, and as Raja's sister, I wanted her to get hers in every episode. Those boys were just trying to have fun. Spencer even returned for the 3-season run of What's Happening Now in 1985. She certainly left her mark in pop culture when she passed away at 60 from stomach cancer. All right, this one may be a little unfamiliar at first. That is, unless you're from across the pond. I'm throwing this one in for 2 reasons. Yes, one for my viewers from the United Kingdom, where Routledge was even more of an institution. But for the US, we weren't void of British comedy. Benny Hill was no stranger in my house, and although often difficult to understand, we knew it was funny. Various shows like Are You Being Served would randomly pop up their head, and their humor fly right over mine. Keeping Up Appearances is one of those shows I remember seeing and watching. Later, I would watch it more often and found it charming and low-key hysterical. Hyacinth Bucket.
It's bouquet, B-U-C-K-E-T, bouquet.
Is one of my favorites. So long, Patricia. Cheers. Remember when I said game show hosts were our sitters when homesick from school? They weren't the only ones. On occasion, we would be looked in on by a variety of melodramatic casts we didn't want to get involved with, but we did. It was hard not to stumble across a soap or two during daytime TV when home alone. Although more females were addicted to The Young and the Restless, All My Children, and rushed home to watch As the World Turns, guys weren't immune and met some of these characters with genuine curiosity. And that's probably where we were introduced to Luke Spencer, the rehabilitated rapist from General Hospital. Luke and his victim, Laura, were a hot storyline, and their marriage is still the most watched soap opera episode in history. That pop culture moment will live forever. Sadly, Anthony Geary will not. He died only weeks ago in the Netherlands, survived by his husband Claudio. Soap stars really never die, though. They just get recast or reincarnated. Bernadette may come to many minds, but long before Priscilla showed Terence Stamp had one huge pair of balls in Hollywood, he was and always would be General Zod to us. In both Superman and Superman 2, Stamp Zod is a force to be reckoned with. Like Luthor, there is some comic book nuance in his performance, but what a performance! His look and temperament gave most of us our first real-life incarnation of the legendary villain. Stamp continued to litter our Gen X movie-going experience in the 80s with Legal Eagles, Wall Street, and Young Guns, before joining the ranks of Star Wars. Farewell, Terence Stamp. Perhaps now you can step into your Haunted Mansion character for real. This should be no surprise, and I think every one of us have some relationship with hot lips. For many of us growing up during the Gen experience, Sally Kellerman's 1970 take on Hot Lips Houlihan was not our first take on the character. That belongs to Loretta Swit, who had the hard job to keep up with all the strong male performers at the 4077. Swit's Major Houlihan made major changes through various character arcs, and although as young kids we may not have cared too much about a show taking place in the Korean War, at some point it grew on us. Probably because somebody was watching MASH in the house. Like it or not, MASH was a cultural icon, and its place in pop culture is matched by few. And in May of this year, Loretta got an honorable discharge as she drifted away at 87 years old. Let's hope she's sitting comfortably at Rosie's bar. Don't recognize her, do you? Well, maybe not at first, maybe not in name, but many of you will remember her like this. How can we forget Pee-wee's best girl?
Here comes the most beautiful woman in Puppet Land.
Yippee, Miss Yvonne!
Miss Yvonne of Pee-wee's Playhouse. She was so fortunate to have been with Rubens from the beginning of the show in its infancy on stage in Hollywood, following through to the TV series.
I just stopped by to help you get ready for the party, Pee-wee.
Thanks. How come you're not wearing your pajamas?
Oh, I brought everything with me. I'm going to change later on into my hostess pajamas.
Can I watch?
And even the revived stage show in 2010 at the Stephen Sondheim Theater on Broadway.
Are you okay, Miss Yvonne?
Yes. Thank you, Pee-wee. Oh, and thank you, big fella. Oh.
This comedic actress had her own success in various mediums, but we'll all remember her big dresses and even bigger hair. R.I.P. Lynne Marie Stewart.
Well, bye.
Who had Ace on their death bingo card this year? I mean, he was 74, but I wasn't convinced he would be the first of the original Kiss members to hit that high note. Not sure who I thought it would be, so why not the Spaceman? Frehley, not only a founding member, but influential rock and roller in his own right, including a solo career, had returned to the original band for a very successful reunion tour. You'd hope he would go out like a rock star, and although it was blunt force trauma to the head, it was a fall down the stairs that had him canceling tours, and then checking into hospital on life support due to complications. In October of this year, the rock and roller would get unplugged, literally, and pass soon after. Gene and Paul were very genuine and sincere with their honors they left fellow bandmate, proving no bad blood. You cannot deny the influence or the iconic status of Ace, who's scored some major backstage passes in the afterlife. So did you all see my show about Loni Anderson? I didn't think so. It was a great homage to her and Jennifer Marlowe from WKRP. Besides her success there and a failed sitcom with Wonder Woman Linda Carter, Loni had only a couple of well-received TV movies under her belt. Oh, and she was married to Burt Reynolds. Not forever, mind you. But in her heyday, she was well-loved and left her mark on a generation of Gen X adolescents coming of age, not to mention their fathers. As the inexplicably wealthy and very intelligent blonde bombshell receptionist of a failing radio station. She endeared herself to the world in that role and will be remembered long after her August death at 79. This is still very fresh and very violent. All in the Family was all through the 70s, and its reach extended into the 80s. Even as a young boy in the 70s, like all kids, I wasn't shielded from these honest shows that were broadcast regularly on network TV. They depicted ourselves as human and the human condition. As for Michael, the son-in-law to Archie, he was both the butt and instigator of some of the greatest jokes delivered on TV. Most were over my head, but they looked like they were having fun. Rob would eventually do some other acting before going behind the camera, making some of the greatest films that shaped Gen Xers and even bridged gaps with millennials. They ran the gamut from coming of age to thrills. It is sad to know that one very sick son snapped and killed this talented and loved man, his father, not to mention his mother, just about 2 weeks ago.
Love is never having to say it, right, Dad?
That means it is right.
But instead, let's focus on the contributions Rob left us as he moves on. On this last one, now this one hurts my heart. Although 2 seasons are not a lot, and even after only 32 episodes, Buck Rogers was the adventurer we needed on TV after Star Wars, and he found a place in our lives and pop culture. A little Indiana Jones and a little Han Solo, which he would look like in Season 2, the fish out of water first season was good laughs while battling sci-fi supervillains. The shift in Season 2, where Wilma looks like Judy Jetson as a cosmic cruise director, left us all confused. What the F happened to all our favorites from Season 1? It was incredible, but I'm sure it was about money. Gil Gerard's Buck was charismatic, lovable, and a horn dog. Like Taggart in Galaxy Quest.
So you managed to get your shirt off.
This sexy beast played love slave to every scantily clad space princess, and there were many, while also trying endlessly to charm the pants off Colonel Wilma Deering. But I'm not sure those things even come off. Gerard was such a part of our imagination growing up, and one of the few on this list to be immortalized in plastic plaything form. I think I'll miss him most of all. Although there is always melancholy that follows losing someone, there's also memories, hopefully cherished ones. Many of these individuals left us cherished memories and even taught us about life and love, or inspired us to be who we are today. Now that's what I call a legacy, and as long as we remember, are they ever truly gone? Just like you guys, my returning viewers, thanks for watching. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. I know I did. I also hope you will grant me a like and subscribe with this video. Not to mention a comment. I try to answer almost every single one. Wishing you a Happy New Year and that you will watch other great shows from the Gen Experience throughout 2026. There's a lot in store. Thanks for being here, and until next time.